Keith Goski. Lance Roberts. Horace Smith.
Horace Smith? Oh, okay.
Keith Jones. Matt Coyne, Mark Stanton. Make yourself comfortable and start out by telling us why you want to do it.
Good afternoon. I'll try to make this brief but thorough. I realize I'm the second to last interview on 2 long days of interviews. So the question was, why do I want to become the next circuit court judge? First and foremost, because I'm qualified. I have practiced, I've been licensed in Texas for 16 years, in Florida for 15 and a half years. And if you had to describe my legal career, it has been about always challenging myself. Challenging myself in my chosen primary areas of practice, but also reaching out to other areas. I really don't think you can be a good lawyer without being uncomfortable. You know, you can't get overconfident like you know everything. You have to have those moments when you feel inadequate, because that pushes you to do better. So first and foremost, I'm qualified. Second, I offer diversity to the bench that I believe is very important. The 7th Judicial Circuit services people from all nationalities, all ethnicities, all socioeconomic statuses. And when they walk into the courtroom, they want to feel a connection. They want to see a panel as diverse as their community is. And I believe that that's very important in maintaining the integrity of the judiciary. More than all of that, than those 2 factors, I think that what makes me the ideal candidate is I'm not just an attorney. I'm a person, and I'm a well-rounded person. My father is an African-American retired military vet. My mother is a Korean national who has a dual citizenship with the United States. She said just in case that thing with her and my dad didn't work out, she wanted to give herself some options. My dad's a character, Well, having come from that background, my family looks like, we used to joke when we would go out and we said we look like one of the United Colors of Benetton ads, because people would look at us like, how did this group of people ever come to know each other? And when we're saying that's my cousin, and they're looking and it's, someone who's half black, half Swedish, like blonde hair, blue eyes, and they're going, what's the connection? I think that was very important to how I think. I'm just a very open person. I have opinions, but they're always subject to change because I'm always filtering in information. And I never, I think that that's important, an important quality for a judge to have, that when a litigant comes in, they don't feel like they're playing on an uneven playing field and the decision has already been made and they feel powerless. They feel like they're coming in, it's even ground, the judge is going to listen to them, the judge doesn't have any predispositions, and even if they don't like the judgment, they've been heard. The last thing I would say is, I think what the other members of the judiciary would appreciate about me is, I am an absolute workhorse, always been that way. My mother is a business owner. If you want to work hard, work for your mom. Or go to college and work for your aunt. There is no off days, there is no sick days, they just simply don't want to hear it. And you can't lie to them because they know when you went out. So, you can't call in and say, I overslept, because they know why. That helped me a lot once I started in the legal profession, because when I initially started and I came to Daytona, I was in front of Judge Watson, John Watson in Daytona. And you get your first job, and it was actually my second job, but they tell you that your hours are 8 to 4:30, and you think they're serious about that. You're going to go to work, and you're going to work 8 to 4:30, and it was anything but. And everyone else had a lot of bellyache about it, but I was used to it. I'm just used to working hard. I'm used to being the first one there, the last one to leave. I try to focus on what it is we're trying to accomplish. I try to block out all the other distractions and just do what it needs, what needs to be done to get the job done. So all of those characteristics, I believe, make me a ideal candidate for this position.
Okay.
Was that brief? I'm I do different levels of pro bono work. One area that I've been doing since I think 2006 is Central Florida Community Development Board. They're based primarily in Daytona. There is an office in Orange County, and there's also an office in Brevard County. And what the focus of that organization is it's twofold. One is promoting minority home ownership. The other is promoting minority business ownership. So when CFCDC initially started out, they didn't really have a forms bank that was put in place where they could do, you know, residential sales, or they could do lease to owns, or if they're doing a business where they could do the loan agreements. It was just very, very rudimentary. And so I helped devise a forms bank that they could use in repeated transactions in those two areas. And for the homeowner and the business owner, we would always have clinics. And at the clinics, I would present myself to answer legal questions that they might have about the different implications of, you know, home ownership, liability issues, you know, those types of things. So that's one angle. The other angle I belong to Newfound Favor Ministries, which was located in Bunnell, but now they've gone to Hastings. And it's a very, very small church, not a lot of members, and most of the members are not financially well off, let's say. And so they would deal with a lot of legal issues, whether it had to do with evictions, foreclosures, family members facing criminal charges, and they could come to me, and I wouldn't charge them for any consultation, and I advise them and, you know, look for ways to assist them. There were only about a handful of cases where I actually had to go in and do full representation, but most of the time it was just mainly in an advisory capacity. So that's another facet. Also, the Flagler County Mock Teen Court. I've done that now. This is going to be my 4th year. That's also two-faceted because I am periodically a presiding teen court judge, and that's just sort of on an as-needed basis because Judge Craig kind of hogs that. I think he just really likes that. So, but the other thing that I really enjoy is I'm one of the coaches that trains the mock trial team. And what's been really, really rewarding for me is it's the same kids every year. So you get to see them grow. And it's amazing that, you know, kids that I started with are now graduating and they're talking to me about colleges and, you know, chosen majors, and you know, it just gives me a lot of hope because my children are real young. And when you come from a criminal practice background and all you see is delinquency, you know, I needed to be able to sort of balance that with what I thought were positive children, and I just realized that adults shape that. I mean, we can't change sometimes what their home environments are, but we can make them feel like they're worth something in the environments that we're in and trying to help nurture them. So I enjoy doing that as well. And then, you know, I'm one of these dabblers. I like kind of spreading myself out. So I think one of the last things is my involvement with the Flagler Chamber of Commerce. When I went in, I didn't join the Palm Coast affiliate. I joined the Bunnell affiliate because there really wasn't a Bunnell affiliate. They were having a real hard time keeping people consistently involved with Bunnell because the focus was always either Palm Coast or Flagler Beach. And I said, well, you know, I'm in Bunnell, so, you know, I want to get active with that. And I'm just so proud. This will be this was our 5th year, and then next year will be our 6th year. We started the Bunnell Potato Festival. And initially I did the pageant and the cook-off, and we got some, you know, members that stayed committed, and so I was able to just, you know, switch off to the cook-off. And that festival meant so much to me because it was like a throwback. You know, I mean, the world's just gotten so fancy, and you know, I went to the county fair, and by the time I walked in and paid the ticket and got the band, I'd spent $100. I mean, you know, people can't afford that. You know, but the Bunnell Potato Festival was something that the residents could come to. They could just walk up. We went to all the retirement homes and assisted living facilities and invited those people out, and they could just come and walk around and see vendors, and it was just a nice community feeling, and it's really grown, and I really enjoy doing, you know, the work that I've done with that. I think recently
Can I ask a follow-up question on that?
Sure.
I was on the board of the Volusia Flag Association for Illinois when we gave you the award, and I don't know if you, we just advertise it in the newspaper, and normally we don't get a whole lot of applicants, sometimes lawyers will write in, but you had multiple clients writing in, raving about you and the work you've done for them. Flagler and ties to Flagler are really tremendous. This is a Volusia-specific seat. Are you willing to move to Volusia and be here in Volusia County? And, would you see yourself establishing those kind of ties here, or would you like to keep them in Flagler, or how do you see yourself as a judge in Volusia County being active?
I lived in Volusia County prior to moving to Flagler County, and I was very active when I was in Volusia County. I'm active wherever I go because I feel an obligation to be involved with your community. I love it when my kids can go somewhere and know that people are watching them and know who I am, and there's some accountability, and I love that feeling of involvement. So if that's, where the job is, that's where I go. I would probably initially kill myself trying to still maintain a lot of what I do in Flagler. Honestly, I realize that, there's a set number of hours in a day, and the job is demanding in itself, aside from everything else. So I realize that there are some things that I would have to let go, and I've been preparing for that. I've been telling them with this cook-off, I have my little Bibles and manuals done out to make sure that there is someone to fill the void from any place where I can no longer be of, 100% assistance. But yeah, I didn't know when I'll be honest with you, I didn't know when I put in the application that it was a Volusia seat. And when I found out, Alfred, you guys know Alfred, my wonderful husband, the General Giant, we had a lot of discussions about it, and it was interesting because the initial reaction was, oh my gosh, And then the more that we talked about it, we realized he works in Volusia. He works at Hassel Legal. He's very heavily involved with Bethune-Cookman. I still have a lot of, ties here in Volusia as well, and it's really not that big of a deal. If you had a great job came up in Texas, you'd pack your family up and you'd move to Texas. It's just what the job requires, and you just do it.
And you and Al decide which one's going to put in the application.
You know what? I might have walked in here real easy, but it wasn't an easy road getting in here. There were other opportunities that started to present themselves for Alfred with the university. And once he made the decision that that's what he was going to pursue because that's what felt right at that time, he's actually the one that said to me, you need to put in. Now, I put in 2006. I went back and read that application. I can see why I didn't get it. Now that I did it in 2006, I went back and read it. Wasn't ready, but didn't know it. You're young, you're ambitious, and And once Alfred decided that he was going to pursue it, I had accepted that it was not what I was going to do. I realize in some places there's a husband and wife judge team, but I feel like those are just not the best odds, and I didn't want to do anything that jeopardized his opportunities, so I let it go. When he came back to me with it, I questioned him mercilessly. I'm like, are you kidding me? What if it doesn't work out? What if you want to do this? And I'm like, I just don't want to create that because I'm a finisher. I'm just not one of these people that try and then just go away. If you don't do the right thing today, you're going to see me again. And you're going to see only me again because this is what we've decided is best for our family right now. And, so to answer your question, it will be me, Mr. Smith, from here on out.
Any reason why you didn't want the county judge?
I never thought about it. People came to me and asked me about it. I think probably the biggest reason when they came to me and I said, I never really thought about it, was financially I wasn't able to do it. There was just no way that we didn't have enough resources. I'm sure you all know that we had a prior bankruptcy. We went through a very difficult time. We built a house in Flagler right when the market was booming with this great idea that we would sell ours, and if we couldn't sell it, we'd rent it out. Market fell out in December. We tried to rent it out. We had to do evictions to get tenants out. You know, you couldn't get workouts because it wasn't considered an investment home. I mean, it was the most humbling, humiliating experience of our lives. It was very, very stressful, and I understand why the divorce rate is really going up because of financial stresses. It is hard. I don't know if I'll ever be able to not feel embarrassed by it. For me, it's a blemish because I pride myself on doing things right, but we are still recovering. We're trying to be smarter about it. When they approached me about the judgeship, I thought to myself, I could probably get the money, you know, if I wanted to do it. But then I said, no, you know, you're at that point, I think I was 41. I'm like, you need to be able to stand on your own. And if you're not able to do it now, then don't do it. And it wasn't, actually at that point too, it wasn't really me thinking about running, even though people were asking me why I didn't run. It was Alfred, because at that point he was still, you know, looking at the judicial route. And we met with people, we talked with people, we got some feedback from people involved in politics that gave us some realistic figures on what it would cost and what it would take, and we just couldn't do it.
See, thank you for that answer. That's very good. You practiced, of course, across, I think, most of the Seventh Circuit, and you've been exposed to a lot of judges in that Seventh Circuit. Which judges would you say are the best judges you've been in front of, and what are the qualities about them that you admire and you'd like to emulate?
How many am I limited
Go ahead and expand your
to?
way.
He's like, you got 2 minutes in here. I don't know.
Yeah.
Judge Zambrano, to me, is a judge to look up to. I love his humility. I love the way he makes every litigant feel like they've been listened to. And I love the way that even though he has the right to be arrogant in his knowledge, he chooses not to. And he chooses to just look for solutions. You know, he's not about, I wear the robe, I tell you what to do. You know, it's all about, listen guys, we're in here, I'm team captain, and we're all trying to, you know, reach this goal, and let's do it together, and let's be done. Let's be civil with each other, let's keep it professional. I really like Judge Zambrano. I love Judge Grimes because Judge Grimes cares about the people that come in front of him on a very personal level, and it's hard not to if you're doing family independency. It's very hard not to, and to do the job effectively, because you have to be willing to get uncomfortable and put yourself in people's shoes and really try to make decisions that might not make sense right then and there, but you have to have a vision of what you're trying to accomplish. And I think that he does a phenomenal job of doing that in a division that a lot of the judges are just, I mean, that, you know, a lot of the judges are like, oh my God, I don't ever want to do family, independency, or delinquency, but those are very important areas. And to have a judge that enjoys it and does it well, and so I really think, I like him as a judge and the qualities that he has. And if I had to pick, I'm going through my roster. I mean, all of the judges have something great to offer, but it's really the only two out there. I love Judge Hammond when he was here. And for those same reasons. I mean, for me, after having been in Orange County, Duval County, Hillsborough County, even as an attorney, it's very intimidating to walk into a courtroom and have a judge look at you like, I already know the law, I'm going to do what I'm going to do, sit down, shut up, take your minute. It's just very, very intimidating. So I can't imagine what that's like for an uneducated litigant. And I just don't think it's right, and I don't think it's fair. So for me, the knowledge of the law and having the humility and the patience, they're just as important. And so that's why those judges, I would think that I would model myself, my temperament, in line with what they do on a day-to-day basis.
Okay, so there's a good possibility that it's not that the assignment's going to change. And I know that your practice is primarily the criminal and family law. What other practice areas have you undertaken
When I worked for Smith Hood, well, what was then Smith Hood and Perkins, I did insurance defense. So I have knowledge in that area. In my private practice, I've not only done criminal and family, but I've done business litigation, contract disputes, those types of things. Right now, I'm starting to do a little plaintiff personal injury, which is interesting, and not that much of a departure from the insurance defense. But on your core areas, like your contracts, I've done so many different areas, and the law is, there's nuances in different areas. Like when I was with legal aid, I was in the housing unit, so I did foreclosures, evictions. That's what I gave advice on. Consumer issues, we handled those, in addition to the criminal issues. So I've done quite a bit, in those other areas. And that's what I tried to do with my writing samples. I know that I think I was only supposed to attach 1 or 2. And when I thought about it, I said, what I wanted to show you is that I have done other things other than criminal and family. And for me, I realized that the judiciary, it's a team. And each member gets an assignment. And when you get an assignment, that's the role that you have to fill. So it's your job to get up to par in that division because that's where you need it. I feel like I have the basics to do any division, just based on the different areas that I've practiced. I may be more suited to, right now for some than others, but if given an opportunity, I just have to get the job done.
Alicia, knowing how compassionate you are, how do you handle the situation of someone coming in pro se against a well-established lawyer who knows the case pretty well, so believe it's out the gun? You're the judge.
I've seen that happen, Mrs. Smith. And it's a very delicate position because as the judge, I have to follow the law. And 16 years of doing this, I've come to understand that sometimes the law doesn't really work out the way you think it should work out. My job, I think, would be to make sure that that well-established attorney does not take advantage of the litigant in terms of being unethical or giving wrong information or taking liberties that they wouldn't take with an opposing counsel. But it's not my job as the judge to become that pro se litigant's advocate. I can't do that. I can't step outside of my role. I would just hope that the attorney is an ethical attorney and upholds his oath, to not make an already unequal situation more disproportionately unfair. But that attorney has to represent a client, and he has an obligation to that client, and I understand that. We deal with that in family law all the time because, people are I used to cringe every time Judge Craig would tell a pro se opponent, just give Ms. Washington a call. Just talk to her about it. And I go, oh my gosh, I just felt like I was opening myself up to just a bevy of bar complaints. They're going to say I said this and I didn't say this. And then I had to realize that's the field. They don't have an attorney. You have to communicate with them. But it's amazing because you're talking to them and you're saying, I have to preface this by saying I'm not your attorney. Now, I'm not going to lie to you about the law, but I may omit things that are to your advantage. And I am strongly advising you to seek counsel, But it's hard. It's the reality, and I would have to uphold my oath as a judge and not become a litigant, but still maintain the integrity of the system.
To what extent will you consider political, economic, and social consequences of your decisions?
One of the biggest disadvantages I have coming into this is I've come to understand that politics is very much a part of this position, and I'm not by nature a political person. I deal more in how something affects me and those close to me, and I've never been one to really get into policies and that type of thing. I think that I would owe any litigant the benefit of me at least evaluating what the impact of my decisions will be. But if the decision is the right decision and it has negative consequences, I can't be concerned about that because I have to uphold the law. And I have to figure that there is going to be a remedy for that somewhere else. You know, because first and foremost, your job as a judge is to correctly interpret the law, not make law. You know, if the law is clear on what should happen. Now, where the law gives me discretion, you know, where the law says, hey, you can do A or B, then yes, I'm going to be looking at what is going to be the impact of this. But I'm going to be doing it in the confines of what my role is.
We should thank you for coming this out.
I was a blast. It's hard. I can sleep now.
We'll be in touch shortly to make our decisions. Today.
All right.
Thank you.
Thank you so much. Oh, it's over. God, have a nice day.